Hello and welcome to the FATBOSS guide to Grong the Jungle Lord.
Yes, this second fight in the instance isn't too hard to understand, but it's vital that you do, as it's pretty easy to mess up the fight and wipe. Let's jump in first with the basics.
So throughout the fight, people need to stack on at least one other player. This is because the boss will cast Ferocious Roar, which deals a small amount of damage to the raid, whilst also will fear anyone that's not stood close to another player. We have our tank stack, our melee form in two separate clumps, and our ranged team form in a single clump. Melee forming two clumps helps reduce the damage of Reverberating Slam. On a timer, the boss will hit a random player in melee, dealing damage to all players within 10 yards, and a much larger amount of damage to anyone who remains in the targeting zone left behind. As for the range group, they need to watch out for the Seeker Missile. On a timer, one ranged player will be targeted with this ability without any notification, apart from the animation of a missile high above the raid in the air. When it lands, it deals a small burst of damage to nearby players and creates a patch of ticking fire. If you're quick to react to the animation, you can completely avoid all the damage, but it's unlikely that that's going to be the case. Healers just need to be quick at topping the incoming damage as you all move out the zone. For the tanks, you're going to need to deal with the combo. This is a series of 4 casts, the first 3 of which are random. They can either be Bites, which applies a stacking physical damage dot, or Smashes, which is a large burst of physical damage, which also applies a 2.5 second debuff, which increases the damage of the next smash you take by 500%. For the first 3 casts, you can pretty much ignore the Bites and just focus on the Smashes and just be ready to taunt the moment the boss casts it twice in a row. That way, no tank will ever take the hit with a Crush debuff. The 4th and last cast of the combo is the Beastial Throw. One player in your raid will be debuffed for 5 seconds. When it expires, the tank is thrown at that player, dealing raid-wide drop-off damage. So the debuff player needs to move as far away from the group as possible to help reduce incoming damage. The player and the tank should then return to the raid together, just so they're not feared by any Ferocious Roar casts. Meanwhile, while that's going on, a melee DPS should stand on the other boss tank, as he'll be alone the moment the boss throws the other tank away.
Now, last to mention, and the most important thing to understand in this encounter, is the boss's rage. Now, throughout the fight, the boss will be gaining rage passively, and at certain health points, this will start speeding up faster and faster. Whenever the boss hits 100% rage, he'll cast Tantrum. This will use 25% of his rage each second to deal a massive burst of nature damage to the entire raid. This also applies a long, light ticking dot, which increases the damage you take from Tantrum by 30%. So if the boss ever reaches 100% rage, it's almost certainly a wipe, or the healers are going to need to use every cooldown that you have, which isn't ideal as you're going to need to use them for other tantrums. Fortunately, you can force the boss to tantrum early. Apetagonizer 3000 ads will spawn around the edges of the room on a timer. This ad will do nothing but spam cast Apetagonize on the boss, which will just give Grong a set amount of rage, so it's vital that you interrupt it. All DPS should swap to this ad as soon as it appears and kill it off as soon as possible. Now, when the ad does die, it will explode, dealing a small amount of damage and knocking back players, which isn't necessarily the bad bit. The worst thing is that it will give the boss 50 rage if he's within 15 yards, so tanks, make sure that you never tank the boss near the ads. Now, the most important thing about these guys is that when they die, they will also drop a core behind. A player can pick the orb up, giving them an extra action button that they can use within the next 20 seconds. Using it on the boss will instantly deal 5% of the boss's max health as damage and force him to cast Tantrum regardless of how much rage he has. You want to use this on the boss every time he is above 50 rage, making each Tantrum only hit the raid twice. Now, however, as we've already explained, as the fight goes on and the boss has less health, he does begin to get rage faster. This may cause you to deal with a 75 rage tantrum. This isn't ideal, but it is survivable. You just need to make sure you time it in such a way that it doesn't overlap with another raid-wide damage ability such as the missiles or the tank throw, as otherwise you may combo people. Ideally, you want to organize healing cooldowns for every tantrum if you can, saving the strongest output CDs just in case you need to deal with a 75 rage tantrum. But just to conclude the guide, just be shit hot on the ads and kill them as fast as you can and you should be fine. The rest of the mechanics are pretty easy to deal with, and as long as you can consistently get 50 rage tantrums, it shouldn't be too difficult to heal either.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you'd like to know more about this encounter, or just have some handy written notes ready for you when you do begin your raid, then go check out our guide over on Wowhead. A link for that can be found in the description below. If this guide helped you out, then do drop us down a like, it helps us out a lot, and we shall see you all in the next one.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.